meeting to order at 5:30. And do we have any adjustments
I do not.
such to the agenda?
Nope.
And you wish to address these in the order, new business in the
Yeah, I
order?
think so. I
that's set
think I
down,
did,
right?
yeah, somewhat. I mean, the fire department
Oh,
stuff
I
is
think
under
so.
old business, but whenever we
Yeah,
get
no,
through the other couple things, we can take them.
Okay. Very good. All right, in that case, I'm looking for approval of the minutes of May 10th.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded to approve the minutes of May 10th. Any other questions, any issues with it? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. First issue is an animal control officer.
Yeah, I should have put constable on there too.
I'm
but-
sorry, yes.
Yeah, I forgot. But this is Tom Caffrey. He has expressed interest in both of those positions. We've kind of been talking for the last few months, I guess it is off and on.
Since November, I believe.
Oh, yeah, so a few months.
At least a few.
Yeah, so I just wanted tonight to be able to be a time that you guys could meet with him, you know, get to know him, and then at some point possibly appoint him to the positions. Right now, I'm not 100% sure about the appointment because I don't think he's a registered voter, and I'm not sure that, which he could do. I mean, I'm not,
Not a registered voter.
yeah.
But you are a full-time Putney resident?
Mhm.
Yeah, and
And
I,
also, whatever, I am active duty as
Okay.
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought about it tonight that we might have to hold off on appointing until I figure out, I'm not even sure that they
We
have
just
to be.
need to find
I
out.
don't, yeah, I don't know what the requirements, I don't know. So, but I
Yeah, I
thought this
don't
would
know
be a
whether,
good night
I'd be
to.
surprised, well, I don't know.
I don't
I'd be
know.
surprised if you have to be a registered voter, you'd have to, if you weren't a registered voter, you might have to, you know, show utility bills or something to show that you
Yeah, I
are
don't know,
clearly
yeah,
a
so
resident.
I'll get that cleared up and then maybe
Right.
at some
I'm
point,
not sure.
but since,
Yeah,
I can bring it back at any point now that you guys have met him, but you guys can go ahead, or he can introduce himself, or however we wanna do it.
Sure.
Yeah, so, Tom Caffrey, active duty military,
Mhm.
United States Navy.
Mhm.
Go between Brunswick, TDY down there at Chicopee,
Mhm.
and also Dover, Delaware.
Mhm.
So I kind of do a circle like that. Native Vermonter from the North Vermont. We're at the top of the state.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yep. Norton in Derby
Uh-huh.
and Swan.
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh,
I
yeah.
am 100% card carrying, no fishing license, no hunting license required. Western Abenaki.
Hmm.
So, which are not very many of us left, in the state of Vermont. Have worked animal control before, 15 years ago. I was stationed in Pensacola, what a great place to be stationed at. And I had animal control down there. So I have experience on the job and pictures. Yeah. Went through the Florida Animal Control Academy 15 years ago, which is a great academy. I actually have the academy dates right. I brought them with me here. Because after you've done it for a while, whatever course like law enforcement, your certification will expire if you don't do the job in 3 to 5 years. So I've got that there. Florida has a program where they have the basic 40-hour class. They also have a class that goes with it called chemical capture, which is the safe and humane chemical capture of dogs. So you get a report about a Rottweiler that's chasing people. I'm just not gonna walk and say, let me see the dog or the pit bull. What happens is I can get it, but I also can use darts that will bring it down slowly, and I can load it into a cage and bring it to Wyndham or whoever your pound keeper is. So I need to get recertified in that as well.
And those certifications are current?
Those are expired,
Okay.
so I need to re-up those. Yeah.
But you can just redo them, you don't have to retake all the coursework, or? do
Yeah,
is
you
that-
have to,
You have to retake it.
retake it. And it would be good for the town.
I don't know whether it's required in state of Vermont.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know, I know that it takes liability.
Yeah.
What happens,
Sure.
if somebody
Yeah.
I shoot your dog with a chemical dart, if somebody
Right.
tries to come back and say, oh, you shot him. So,
If you're certified.
yeah, you're certified, yeah. So I've been talking to you about the academy issues with the constable issues and non-academy and duties and responsibilities. I've been on the Vermont Cities and Towns League
Yeah.
website studying all the duties.
Yeah.
So, up to date with that.
Yeah.
So in conversations with Cynthia, I mean, maybe I'd like to hear your perception of the job,
Basically, with
starting with the animal control.
okay, animal control.
And then the constable issue.
Well, animal control, basically what happened is animals are like children. And it's a very sticky job, to say the least. Very much you want to educate, give them ways to correct before you get near the enforcement. I cannot emphasize that enough. It's easier to be a constable or a sheriff writing speeding tickets on 5 than it is to deal with animal control. You have to have a special deal with that. So I want to definitely emphasize that what happened is give them ways to work with it. I mean, you're driving down the road, you see a dog chained to a tree. There's no water. Pull it, hey, knock on the door, hey, how you doing, whatever, your dog needs water. It is a violation of law. Let's please fix that, thank you. You get the neighbors will have disputes, and they'll be, the dog will be the tool, like a divorce with a child. Okay, so that's, again, same thing. Putney, I did study your animal control ordinance. It's very well written. It's got teeth. It's easy to follow. Hopefully we'll never have to sit there and go through all of that. That's the reason I'm really big into, I cannot stress, and I showed Cynthia my fire department record. I am pro board certified for the entire world, all kinds of stuff. I cannot emphasize training, and certification. Again, because animal control is so sticky, it's gonna do that. With some towns, and another thing I researched here, I researched your surrounding towns, the town of Jamaica, and the town of Guilford, one to the north and one to the south. Both of those towns, the animal control and the constable are the same. It's a non-law enforcement constable with an animal control slot. Other towns, whatever, are split. There's benefit to both. If you split it, constable, he could be animal control. Now you've got 2. You've got a backup, so you split it. I kind of recommend that when ambient is because the way it works, again, with your reading your ordinance, first constable has the authority, any deputy sheriff trooper, Cynthia has the authority. So constable, town manager, another animal control. The more people you have in it, I think is better than just Guilford and Jamaica having just 1. It kind of spreads it out too. Plus, if I'm deployed or I'm away somewhere, we've got backup. So I definitely, that's why I know they said the animal control, and I would much rather split. That's it.
How often does your active duty take you? I mean, how much are you in town?
Varies. It varies. Right now, the summer. Right now, I'm going to be in town a lot. But the winter time, whatever, I get shipped. I was shipped to Florida numerous times. Down to Pensacola.
So it just
It
depends.
varies. It varies. Yeah. And this year, this summer, it's going to be between here and Maine. I'm going to be back and forth between here and Maine, back and forth to Brunswick.
Okay. I don't remember whether we have established for the role of animal control. I mean, I know that sometimes in the past we've had some stipend.
Yeah, I think we put,
Associated
I'd have to
with
find the
that?
budget, but there was so much a month we put in there, it wasn't,
It's not a lot.
No, it's
You're
not a
you're
lot.
aware it's not a lot, I assume.
Right. I actually did the research,
Yeah.
and it's your stipend shows at 150.
yeah,
A month.
I was
A
gonna
month.
say
Yep.
150 to
Plus,
200, but I couldn't remember.
Reimbursement for training and things like that, and it did say whatever that when
Right.
training's available, whatever, do take it. So
Yeah.
150 a month today. Now I believe let's say that I grabbed the constable slot, I would have the authority, and she grabbed the animal control. The stipend would go,
All
to
yours.
her. You see what I'm saying? What happened with the constable? It would just be voluntary for me,
Right.
but the animal control will get the stipend. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And also, we also talked about animal control. If you sit there and you say animal control, there will be an issue with your personal auto insurance. That is guaranteed.
If you're using your
POV
for it.
yeah. So again, the stipend would offset some of that
Yeah.
that insurance cost, and also equipment for your capture, you know, your hooks and your cages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was one thing we were gonna have to talk about at some point, because the last person that was interested, it was the insurance that was kind of hanging
Held
them
things
up a
up.
lot.
I verified that.
Yeah, so,
Did you verify what kind of number that was, or just that it changes it?
It changed it, over the use.
Okay.
Yeah.
And our insurance, we can't get our insurance
to cover a
To cover that?
personal, yeah.
to a personal
I mean,
vehicle of something
no.
that doesn't belong to the
Right.
town. Yeah, okay.
So that might be something we have to talk about, that would be maybe above and beyond what the stipend is.
Mhm.
And find some money somewhere for that, because that's gonna be an issue for anybody.
No, and, you know, the other thing that we have talked about in the past with animal control is having some equipment, you know, I mean, I think it would be possible that
Yeah.
we would be willing to purchase some equipment that then would belong to the town and.
Right.
Yeah,
you know,
there's another amount that's available too in the budget already that we did that's above and beyond
The other
for
place,
equipment.
I wonder whether VLCT to any of that grant money possibly,
Yeah.
or any of that, I don't know.
Keep the stuff at the town garage, you pretty much.
Something like
Yeah,
that,
keep it
you
there
know,
for the cages.
or, you know, the most logical things to carry around in your vehicle, maybe you carry them in your vehicle, but they get returned when you're not
Yeah.
there, or whatever, you know, however that works.
I did have someone come forward in the last couple days that might be interested just in the constable position, so.
Do you, if we were looking to fill one but not both of those, for example, if we had somebody else coming forward that might want one of them, do you have a preference of whether you would be one or the other or
No,
both?
if somebody wants the constable, grab the constable, and I'll take the 150, whatever. It's all good. It's all
Sounds
good.
fair.
Sounds fair, not gonna. Yep.
Okay, well, it sounds like we probably have a little homework to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to, I should have done it today. I checked it, I'll have to check it out tomorrow and just,
And are you, if we do need you to be a registered voter, are you adverse to that concept, or is there any reason you couldn't be a registered voter in the town?
No,
of Putney?
I'm a
Okay.
citizen, you know, I'm a dual citizen, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
yeah.
Okay,
It may not even be for animal control, it may not even matter.
right.
Because I think the other towns have had people that don't live there,
Sure.
they've shared with somebody.
Yeah,
No, no.
So I think.
And
the
constable, it
constable
might- it
might be a
might be
little different,
different.
but yeah, the animal control, I think probably it's okay, but.
Yeah, because you could actually hire an animal control officer
Yeah,
from the state of New
from some-
Hampshire.
yeah.
No problem at all, or
So I
Massachusetts.
think that one's
Right.
It's really,
okay, yeah.
it's really not, I know, yeah, no, not an issue.
Constable position,
Good.
maybe.
Might be
Have
different.
Residency issues.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
We'll probably
Get
put this
this
on the,
information
we'll probably
and-
put this on the next agenda for appointment.
Which would be 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be drifting around. You know,
Okay.
and I'll keep up with Cynthia.
Sounds good.
Very good.
Good. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome to stay, but don't feel like you have to.
I'm heading to West River for some swimming because it's gonna start raining, so.
There you go.
All right, everybody,
See ya, thank
thank
you.
you.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you very much. All right. Dan, what have you got for us?
Just wanted to give you an update on the last Waste District meeting. Our program coordinator, Kristen Benoit, spoke to us about aid that the district can give towns in the transition. In our case, we're doing two things at once. We're moving from district hauling to private hauling, and we're moving the location of our roll-offs. So, but I think she understands both those. So I just wanted to lay out for you what the district is offering, and then I think just talk as a group about what the details and what we might take advantage of. So the first thing is that they're going to be able to offer direct mailings to town residents, and that will be covered by the district. So
Information mailings.
yeah, information mailings
Yeah.
will probably come in the form of a postcard. I don't know, but we have we can determine what's going to go on it. so I could, you know, I could work with Cynthia on what the wording should be and all of that. And I don't know, you know, when they would come out would probably be up to us again too, so she's ready to work with that. The other.
Is that for the recycling end? For letting people know about?
Yeah, I would say it's for, I'd say it's for both. I think the district understands that, were it not for, you know, the change, that is the district leaving the recycling hauling business, we would not be making this move, right? So it's.
And we don't really, I mean, nothing changes for us as far as hauling is, I mean, recycling hauling it does, but we don't have a townwide pickup system, so that doesn't really affect us at all. So
That's true, yeah.
it's just a recycling
Still a
issue.
jump sticker for.
Yeah.
But, well, for instance, I mean, if we're moving from dual stream to single stream, and, you know, to talk
Yeah.
about what, you know, what that means.
Yeah.
And that's a big concern of mine because of the contamination rate that goes into single stream recycling, which is quite high.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very skeptical of its, you know, even though for all the data that I've read about how good it is, you know, there's really, and I just think it's really easy for a site to get pretty messy with single stream, because it's hard to distinguish between a single stream load and garbage sometimes. It just all looks the same. So
Yeah.
that's anyway. So that's one thing that we want to be clear about to the residents, that, you know, what goes in single stream and what doesn't, and that would be something, you know, could go on this card. She's offering, they're offering new signage, and I mentioned this before, and there are state standardized symbols that are, well, the EDP is promoting statewide and wants everyone to use, and she sent to, I think to all of you, got an email from Kristen maybe 2 weeks ago, samples of these. So
Yeah.
that's what they'll look like. In addition to that, signage regarding illegal dumping, and I think certainly what constitutes illegal dumping is a concern of mine, because from my experience, what I see dumped a lot here is stuff that I think the dumpers think that somebody else could use.
Swap type
Yeah,
stuff.
and
Yeah.
it's stuff that should be brought to the swap shop,
Right.
or would have been brought to Renew Salvage back when it was in operation.
Yeah.
You know, I picked up a TV set down there on Green Up Day, and I think last week there was a big pile of
Did you guys get that stuff? Yeah.
screen that was brand new. You know, that's whoever threw it out thought somebody else could use this. So, but I think that's one thing that we really need to educate people about.
Clear signage.
Yeah. I guess I'm kind of looking at this as kind of a new beginning. You know,
Yeah.
that is, we're starting fresh now at a new site. We want to do everything we can to keep things as clean as possible there, to keep our road crew as happy as we can make them, and so on. Let's see, signage regarding the surveillance cameras too. You know, just notifying that they're there, and again, the district can pay for this. And then I'm thinking of just more means of communication on the change. The iPutney site, which I think a lot of people look at every day, although not everybody. The PCS newsletter, which goes out to parents, and I know that Herb has let me put stuff on there before in the past without any problem. And then just notice boards in the town out here and so forth. So
And probably fairly significant notice boards of some sort down where the roll-offs are
Right.
leaving.
yeah,
because I'm
Okay.
guessing we're gonna have a lot of people either inquiring with Tom or driving around in circles down there, wondering where they went.
Just driving around the parking lot.
Yeah, and or ditching stuff over the edge.
Um,
But we should also, on that signage, however we figure that out, we should probably make it clear, the shift to Putney residents as opposed to, I'm not sure we even necessarily wanna publicize. I guess we'd have to think about that, whether we wanna publicize where those dumpsters went versus sort of saying, we've had a shift in recycling and our recycling is now open to Putney residents.
that's
Please
really
inquire at town hall or something like that.
Yeah.
Give you a
Well,
little-
it's already
little
out
project,
there.
you know.
Right.
The whole, I've already put it out there that the shift is to the town garage.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think that's fine. I think that if we're putting signage, what we don't want is all those people who are stopping,
Oh, there,
The-
and pointing them that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see,
Oh, hey, it's a little further,
Yeah.
but still, we can get rid of everything here.
yeah.
And it's a little more discreet, so we can leave our TVs and screens and everything too. So, hopefully that's not gonna be a problem.
Kristen is planning on offering composting workshops to member towns, so if we want to take advantage of that or not. And given that we're not going to be offering a place for food waste deposit, and people are going to be composting here, they're going to have to compost unless they want to haul it to Brattleboro, which is, not what I would want to do. A lot of people in town compost already, and
But that
I
requirement
don't know.
isn't until, that's not July
right,
1st.
this doesn't have to do with the requirement.
Yeah.
This is just a
Education.
Right.
educational service that's being offered. So
No, I would say at a minimum, we should have it posted at the recycling site that composting is available at the Brattleboro site, which people might be aware of, but might not be aware of,
Yeah. So she's, if we want to do it, it could be done weekday afternoon, weekday evening, even a Saturday morning. I don't have any thoughts on where it would be or exactly how we would run that. But if any of you want to think about that.
We could probably do it at the school because
Okay.
we're doing that stuff like that with the kids. there,
Okay.
too.
Actually, that'd be
Yeah,
a
is
good
she
idea.
gonna be available for regular recycling,
Sure.
stuff that she's done in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah, with schools and
All
whatnot.
right. Well,
Because that helps, a lot of times I think if you really inform the kids well what you're trying to do at the school, then they
Yeah.
in turn will teach their parents.
Is there room and space for an expanded kind of composting operation? I mean, it may turn into something a little larger than.
Yeah, the school has enough of its own, and I think they're worried about rodents and things like
Yeah,
that,
sure.
that they've had
No,
problems
that's
with in the past.
And educating people what is reasonable
Yeah.
compostable material.
Right.
Is that something you want to coordinate, or do you want me to coordinate with
Well,
her?
I'm just, I can do it,
Okay.
but I just wanted to, my general question is it a good idea? Do you think the
think so.
residents would?
I
want
think
this?
so too, and I also think, maybe initially, Dan, some sort of combined composting and recycling educate, or, even if it's just labeled as composting, to have sort of a refresher course, like you're saying, on what single stream means and
Maybe we should wait till the RFPs come back and when we figure out what
What we're doing.
our recycling
Yeah.
stream will be, whether it's dual or
Okay.
if it's
what's our time frame on that? Do we know?
the RFP.
Yeah.
Well, I created it today.
Oh, good. Okay. So we don't have a time frame yet.
No, they're going to be due back, what did I put for
I mean
the
that-
date? I put a date of June 19th to have them back to me by, so, I think that made it so it would be here for the meeting on the 21st. So we could decide. So,
Okay, so.
This is
if
gonna go
that's
out
the case,
tomorrow.
I'll communicate with her tomorrow to tell her we're waiting for the RFPs to determine
I mean, we
I mean,
could
that's
do
if
a
they wanna do
composting
it.
thing sooner, but I'm not sure that's necessarily
We don't even
as
have
high
to-
priority, but if we can take advantage of anybody who's gonna be in town to do recycling issues, because like, I don't know, and maybe you put this in the RFP, but it would be nice for us to know, for example, what plastics, even if it is single stream, are they taking all the plastics, or are they only taking, you know, up to 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, you know?
That's gonna be up to the hauler.
Yeah.
Right, so
And
we
then
should,
we won't know that until
we
we
should,
know what hauler, yeah,
well, did you send out the RFP?
not yet.
I mean, we might want them to clarify in their response.
They will, yeah.
They will?
Yeah,
Okay,
because all
yeah.
of them, the ones I've talked to, they're all different. So
Right.
they're gonna have to clarify, I mean, one of them wanted 3 containers, one of them wants
Right.
single stream, one, you
Yeah.
know, so they're all different, so they'll clarify that during that process.
Yeah,
All right, so I'll tell her tomorrow that we're waiting for the RFPs and so forth, but she should be happy to hear that.
Yeah, so that's the 19th, so the meeting for the 21st will be when hopefully we can choose a hauler.
yeah.
I guess if you could have her get it on the schedule to have something that week out, I mean, have her put it on the schedule, because we'd like people to know before the 1st of July what we're, I mean, we don't have to have that educational piece right before the 1st of July, it could go into July, but it would maybe help a little bit, I don't know.
You know, the other thing we could think about, Dan, and I don't know whether she'd be available for this or not, but, you know, not composting, but recycling wise, like the first Saturday morning that it's open down here, have
That's a really good idea.
somebody there, you know? And not only have somebody there, but invite people to come then to see the new system, and, you know, we could have an open house kind of thing.
You could have balloons.
I'm sure Brian would want to be there.
Yeah.
This is all contingent on having a site ready.
Right, which Brian's
So-
gonna comment on soon.
There is a little, you know, this is all hoping that all of the pieces fall into place exactly the way we want them to.
Yeah, no, and any scheduling of this can be shifted
Right.
as necessary.
So, are you all, do you have something else?
Just one
Okay.
more thing, and that is the roll-offs, what's the thing I say? The roll-offs that are owned by the district and are gonna be loaned out to us for a period of 1 year, whatever it is, are not gonna be available for probably the full month of July, because they're gonna be pulling stuff out of them and organizing them and cleaning them and so forth. So they're asking all the towns to communicate with whoever the hauler's gonna be to rent from them, rent roll-ups for the hauler, or,
Why did Bob not tell me that today when I sent him the RFP?
I don't know,
Okay,
yeah.
so for the first month?
Probably,
I'll
I
call
think we'll
him.
have a better idea at the next district meeting, but that's what we were told last time. I think
Okay,
that's only
I'll check.
approximate, it might be 3 weeks, it might be 5 weeks, but everybody's gonna have to,
So, yeah, I guess that'll make the question of whether well, it would depend on the hauler, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to call him tomorrow because I had him review this RFP today. And it says, since Wyndham Solid Waste Management District is loaning the district-owned recycling roll-off containers to member towns, the vendors should assume there's no rental charge for the recycling
Right.
containers. And he approved this today, so maybe he didn't read that one. I'll call and talk to him and find
well,
out.
yeah, what's written there is correct, it's just that this information hasn't been incorporated into it, I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if there's a month lapse period there, then
There's a rental charge, I think.
then we would
Yeah.
have to, well, a rental charge and or question of availability depending on the
In the future,
haulers.
going
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's gearing up to do this for us kind of thing, which I don't know whether anybody would be or not. Anyway, we'll find out.
So I think what I'm gathering from this discussion is that the options that we have for recycling, which are have them take away, do nothing, people are on their own, leaving the containers there, down at the fire station, as is, and then going to the town garage. I'm hearing that the town garage is the option, because I don't think we've actually really decided that.
Well, Brian was gonna talk to us about what he thought the reality of being able to do that, and we don't have that on the agenda, but do you have a comment on that?
Well, I mean, it's, the recycling's on the agenda. Is that what you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to think that through down there, or not really?
We'll get it done if we, you know, if that's what we decide we gotta do, we'll get it done.
Then get it done.
Yeah, and I think what did we come up with for approximate cost just for the site work? I think, was it like $1,700?
Yeah, something like that, just for.
Buy a bunch of material, essentially.
Yeah, gravel, basically.
Yeah.
You know.
I looked on the A&R map, there's no wetland right there that's located there.
And state permitting issues?
I haven't, I've got a call up there, but it was the wetland stuff that I was looking at
Was likely
first.
to be an issue.
Will the size of it be affected by what type of recycling we do, though? I mean, if we're doing single stream, you can have, you know, 1 or 2 big dumpsters there, plus you need room to bring the new one in,
Right.
drop that off and pull the net, you know.
Right.
But if you're separating, then you're gonna need 3 or 4.
Yeah, it depends on who,
So,
I mean, one
I mean-
hauler told me 3,
Yeah,
because
so,
they do the 3, they do
Same
the
system
same
as
systems
this.
here, and then, yeah, so a lot is contingent on
right.
who we choose.
And I guess-
Just don't plan anything for that last week in June, Brian, because you're gonna be busy.
Or that spot, right?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, I mean, one thing that this comes to mind now is that what's interesting at the school, we're, you know, teaching the kids, and it's triple T, so it's all single stream. So they're learning all about single stream, and, you know, if you go ahead and change it like it is down there, where they only take 1 and 2 plastics and stuff like that, then that's gonna cause a lot of contamination. There's gonna be confusion there.
Yeah.
And so that's why I guess I kind of recommend that we move toward the same thing that we have at the school, you know, single stream. I mean, that would be a factor, I think, in deciding.
Yeah, I think Dan's point about
But I see
level of, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
distinguishing trash versus single stream is
Yeah, and you guys
It's
are
hard.
monitoring it.
depending
more
on
than
how
what we will be
people treat it.
Yeah, I
I
know.
mean, you know, it's already an issue even
Yeah.
with multi-stream, much less when you change it to single stream.
Yeah.
But,
I think it's just gonna, I mean, we gotta see how the
RFPs
RFPs
come
come
in.
back,
Yeah.
and, you know, and then you've got another hauler that wants the cardboard separate because they don't
Right.
charge
Because
you
there's some
actually
value in
the
it,
extra,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
so,
And that could, any one of those options could fairly significantly alter the cost, so. I mean, I don't know whether dual stream is more valuable or not, do you know? I mean, in theory it is, but,
It depends on who you talk to. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, in theory it is, and there are hopeful people on the district board who think that it's, you know, it's gonna come back like vinyl records are gonna, you know, it's
Yeah.
just,
right around the
it's,
corner.
it's always
Your
right here.
tracks are coming back.
But,
so,
yeah.
so do you want me to look into anything else besides focusing on the town garage? I mean, I started to look at fencing down there. I just think that's gonna be so expensive, and then we're talking about somebody managing it.
Right,
and
that
monitoring
becomes,
it.
right. I think we're trying to avoid going full bore into the
Yeah.
dump business.
And I think that I'm sensing that the consensus of the board is to do something and not do option 1, which is nothing. I mean, you could do that, that is an option.
Well, being that we're dealing with a lot of unknowns here, I think, you know, we're sort of bound and we have budgeted a certain amount
To try something.
to try something
Yeah.
Yeah,
and revisit it, obviously, in the next budget scene and town meeting next year.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can see
Where-
where the
where
numbers are
We will
at
have
in
more
3 months.
information,
Yeah.
how this actually
Yeah.
is working and functioning or not. You know, if all we end up with is another, you know, is a parking spot down at the town garage, you know, flat place to stick stuff is never goes to waste. So,
I am working
you've got a
on,
visitor on your shoe.
I am working on the camera.
The mice loose in here?
No.
There's a caterpillar.
We keep that for later.
Wait,
Don't just
stop.
crush it, Tom. Come on, take it out.
Isn't it a tree killer?
It is, it should be crushed. Unfortunately.
Is that gonna be lit?
It's a Ted caterpillar.
Yes. So lighting and
Camera.
Camera. I do
I
have
mean, we
someone
are,
that's giving
you
me.
know, we are gonna have some investment into it, definitely, but, you know, I think that those are probably things, well, the lighting is not that expensive, I don't think. The camera, I'm guessing, is something that we could repurpose. If it ends up we don't use this, we repurpose it for highway department or school or something, you know, or something,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm in the process right now of getting pricing for all locations for cameras anyway. So we do have some cameras around. We're just gonna get something that's better.
Lawrence?
Just as a point of information, all of the towns within the Wyndham County Solid Waste Management are going through the same thing. Has there been any pooling of resources with these other towns? Have you talked to what they're doing, Cynthia?
They're doing-
I'm just thinking to save you legwork. What are the, you know, if they've already done the research on some of
Well,
these
a
things?
lot of the legwork has been saved because the district actually wrote the RFP. So, they did that work for us. I can't remember the towns that Bob Spencer told me today, but there were 3, I think, that he was talking about that are having the same discussions at their meetings right now of hiring hauler and sending out the RFP.
And then
Doing,
other towns are
essentially doing
Doing
the
the
same
same thing,
process.
yeah.
doing the same process, but others
Yeah.
are just like doing nothing then.
Yes.
Well, it depends, I mean,
Some are-
yeah.
some are- some are- I think.
I don't know what Dummerston decided, but, I mean, Westminster has curbside recycling pickup, so they're not in this equation.
But they're not in our district anyway.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Westminster?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were.
Yeah, Wyndham Solid Waste.
They
That's
joined
district,
about 3
yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
4 years ago.
I forgot.
Because what Ruggiero does, Westminster,
Yeah.
curbside.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah,
I was just thinking.
yeah.
Right. And, you know, I mean, that, we can discuss it and, you know, try to put a price tag on it and bring it up. you know.
I mean, the other thing I did do is
Next
call
year, but-
Rockingham because they own the facility in Westminster and asked them if we could be included in some type of assessment amount to them that would allow if we didn't have the containers in town, would allow our residents to go either to Wyndham Solid Waste to do the recycling or to that recycling center. And they haven't, that's not something that they're not opposed to it, they just, the details haven't been really talked about,
I don't know
so.
if they have the capacity or.
Yeah, and I think that they're gonna start dealing with the same issue that right now, they don't check where you're from when you drive in there.
Right.
But if
More-
all of a
more
sudden we all
people
start
coming.
showing up,
Yeah.
yeah, so they're gonna be they're dealing with their own set of kind of, I don't wanna say issues, but,
Yeah,
yeah,
details to work it out.
Yeah.
And, you know, different arrangements, but certainly not unlike down here. They're busy. I mean, when they're open
Oh,
up
yeah.
there, it's a constant
yeah,
flow.
it's,
So whether they want added.
and they're
traffic,
open
I
very
would be
limited
surprised.
hours.
Exactly.
You know, I
would be
think it's like
surprised.
Wednesday and Saturday maybe,
Yeah.
you know, it's pretty, yeah, pretty limited. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
thanks.
Dan.
All right.
I don't know what you want to leave. It looks to me like in the town manager's report that Cynthia's gonna do some Morris dancing for
I'm not
us,
gonna
so-
do the dancing, I'm gonna let you know when they're gonna be here. I can try.
Perhaps we will sing. All right.
I would jump to the.
Better
fire.
roads,
You wanna jump to the fire
category A
department?
and B, grant agreements.
You
What's-
wanna jump to the fire department?
Certainly, absolutely.
Release them.
Yep.
So in your packet, there is a memo from Tom. So this is a continued discussion from last time about the report that was created by some of the fire department members. And this is just an ongoing discussion, and the memo that Tom gave you, I'll let him speak to that, but it is outlining an idea that was discussed at one of their meetings, so go ahead, Tom.
Okay.
be honest about everything, though the memo is from, I crafted it and sent it to everyone. The reality is that memo is representative of the entire department. So it's not just, that isn't a few of us, or just me, that concept and that discussion that's in that memo is from the entire department. So, after the last select board meeting, a number of us got together, and talked about some different ideas. What is the most appropriate next step? And through that, we came up with a few, 4 or 5 different ideas. The first being, we take the easy way out and the least painful, and we do nothing. We just let things go as they are, and so on and so forth. And we had talked about that briefly before as well. And it was reiterated very, very clearly that that isn't even a legitimate thought. So, the next option that we discussed was what's included in the memo in front of you, where we actually start to pay our folks an hourly rate, which is in a scale format during call hours. So we mentioned that very briefly, and then we discussed a couple other items or suggestions that involved paying folks, but on a little bit different scale. Neither of those involved any full-time positions. That was not even a consideration. It's not even a realistic consideration for us. However, there was some dollars involved. And when we compared overall the 3 together that involved compensation, this concept that's in front of you in the memo was the obvious next step that needs to be vetted, and it was the concept that had the least dollar figure attached to it, least amount of money attached to it.
How did you arrive at the 42.7? Is that based on sort of an average number of hours per call?
Yeah, that's our total. I took the budget figure for the fiscal year 18 budget, which is 11,500, and simply divided that by our what is right now our call hours. Divided it out, and that came to, well, I forgot now, but whatever that figure was, and then I
budget figure.
Right,
What
and-
you're talking about.
no, and then I took that average number of hours, and I multiplied it by what the average pay scale to come up with that. Now, what I also did is I added a considerable number of call hours into that, because this is brand new,
To buffer.
to create a fairly decent buffer built in there.
Out of curiosity, are call hours for both within Putney, or does that include mutual aid?
That would include any calls that we go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we wouldn't anticipate reimbursement for mutual aid.
No, I mean, there are certain times that we would get reimbursed for significant forest fires. Anything that's invoiceable through our billing ordinance, if you will. There are plenty of opportunities, just as we do now, we get reimbursed. And those opportunities will still be there. And over the course of any given year, it all depends on what occurs as to how much compensation or payback we get.
So I'm just sort of doing what I think your math might have been in reverse, of taking the total. You came up with an annual budget number of 42,750.
Yep.
And I took 1375 as an average hourly, that might be a little high, might be a little low, but it's sort of generally in there. Divided that out by the number of hours that comes up with, and then divided that by 500, which is roughly the number of calls you do in a year. And I come up with approximately 6 man-hours per call. Does that sound, I'm doing this backwards, I'm not expecting you to know exactly what, but I'm just trying to.
Actually doing it that way, yeah, we're coming out about the same. Yeah, so you did it a different way than I did, but it would come out about the same.
Tom and I talked a little bit about this earlier, and one thing that I expressed a concern about, and Tom recognizes and agrees, and doesn't have a system, concept in place, but knows that it's something that potentially need to be addressed in the future, is what do you do when the call goes out, you get 5 people that show up, and you really only need 2. Are you paying all of those 5 people? If so, for how long? So on and so forth. And I think that, my sense of the department as it is now is that most people are otherwise employed in situations where they're just as happy to be turned away from a call as they are to come in for a call at the price per hour you would be offering. But I can imagine a scenario if you have, 8 new guys who come in and everybody's itching to get their time in, that could be problematic. So I don't think we have an answer for how one might address that, but.
To be honest, like I mentioned earlier, and Cynthia and I have had this same discussion. I don't have an answer yet. We don't have an answer yet. In the short term, will that even be an issue for us? No, it won't.
Probably not, yeah.
In the long term, could it become an issue? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And should we begin to see that trend, then certainly we'll.
I think it's kind of the issue we're hoping for.
Exactly. If we have that problem, we're all going to be happy.
It just has to be upfront that if this is what happens,
Right.
then we need
Then
to
we're going to have to
figure it out.
figure out a way to manage
Yeah.
that.
If a call goes out now, is there a way of determining how many people are needed? I mean, in the scenario that maybe 2 people show up or 10 people show up, if someone gets a call, do they know how many people are needed?
I'm gonna assume that you've got a certain number of people that have to be provided to each piece of equipment. And then depending upon the call, the number of pieces of equipment taken into the call.
That's where we want to be.
Prioritize
We're
that
not right
time.
now, and for the last several months, we're not even there.
Right.
So, when we've got one guy going out on the engine to a call, that's.
I think what he's asking
but-
is if you get a call for, let's say there's
Medical emergency,
Yeah.
difficulty breathing, how many people are you gonna need?
We want 3.
Right,
Exactly.
so there's your,
Yeah, but will the people, when that call goes out to people, they get that difficulty breathing, so
well, they,
do you
whoever can come now
prioritize? Is there a
comes.
way of prioritizing who?
No, right now, when a
Just
call
for
goes out,
anyone.
anybody who's available,
Right.
come on.
Right, that's why I say that
And-
what
and-
he's describing is the scenario that we're hoping for,
Right.
that you
Whenever
need,
there's a call.
you need
people
3,
show
but
up, good.
6 show up, and
Right.
at that point, then it's gonna be,
Then you
I
said-
imagine
But you
it,
still said you're 3.
Right.
And so the other 3.
I
Yeah.
imagine it, if you ever got to that point, don't you have, I
Next
know
one.
other towns have squad, there's like,
Yeah, there would,
Yeah.
if we got to that point and it was sustainable, then we'd be able to do an actual coverage schedule.
That's what Tom
Type of-
talked
type
about
of-
a little
type
bit.
arrangement,
You know, it would be just it would be an agreement more than etched in stone kind of thing, but that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, X, Y, and Z are the first guys to come in, and, you know, whatever, Thursday through Sunday, then so-and-so comes in. So maybe, you know, maybe
That's
you
the
could do
best
something
case
like that.
Scenario.
Sure.
Just as a thought from past public service, wouldn't it be just as simple as if this ideal situation occurs, we have 8 people show up and there's only 3 needed, some kind of show up fee, whether it's cash for 30 minutes
about that,
or
too.
cash for an hour or something, because then at least you get the people to show up, and if by the time everybody shows up, maybe it's become difficulty breathing because there was a car accident or something and you need more, or
Smoke in
whatever.
the house, or, yeah.
Right, I mean, because
absolutely.
difficulty breathing becomes God knows what after
Yeah.
you get all the details.
Yeah,
But I can see easily that's something easy to calculate, it's an easy way to do it. If you get 8 people to show up and you want a squad to go, then a squad goes, and the other 5 that you don't need get a half hour's worth of time or
Right.
whatever it is, something,
Yeah.
for at least for being there.
right.
And do it
No,
just as simple as that.
I think that, again, the likelihood of this being an issue anytime soon is minimal. Right, so, yeah,
We
so,
should be, right, you
Yeah,
guys
I mean,
should
I'm not sure
be so
what we're
lucky that we
offering
do
instead.
have that situation, frankly, right?
I guess the other question that just occurred to me that I hadn't thought about earlier when we were talking about it is, what do you do about guys that are otherwise town employees during town hours? You know,
One more
that
thing.
are
Town
already
employees.
town employees during their workday hours. They're not, they obviously can't be getting paid
We'll have to
additionally,
talk about that.
yeah.
Yeah, Tom and I have had that conversation and
There
I
would
said the
just
same
have to
thing
be,
that
there
you
would have to
said.
be a protocol for that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, whether you go off of one wage and onto another, or something,
Right.
you know, I don't
Yeah,
know,
we'll have to work through that.
yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to mention is that this then becomes part of payroll. So when we talk about money, we have to include the, I think I figured it was like $3,000 taxes.
Yeah,
I did talk to our insurance company today, and they said that once you start a payroll of any kind, the workers' comp goes up because it's based off of payroll. What that number would be, I have no idea. The workers' comp for our public safety will probably be increasing anyways because there was a passage of a new law for the PTSD.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? Yeah. Bill, but Passive does not have the details on that yet. I did find out today, Tom, that the likelihood of an insurance company not covering us that's not even on their radar.
Okay, good.
So,
But it
the
is,
rate will
I
go
mean,
up, but
right, that's the thing, I mean, presumably, I mean, I don't know whether Tom fits into the same category, but, you know, with workers' comp, it's certainly a percentage, you know, and presumably for, I don't know whether they would break it down by type of call, but the injury rate must be relatively high for across the board, so I'm guessing the workers' comp would be relatively high.
Well, how does it work?
20 cents on the dollar or something like that, I don't know.
I think that there is, and don't quote me because I don't know 100%, but the workers' comp for the fire department, we're in an assigned risk pool, which helps the rate stay a little bit lower.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But once you start adding payroll to it, because that's how they justify their rate. If you're having to replace compensation, then it starts to increase. So what's going to be difficult to determine if this is made is what is the increase due to this, or is the increase is
Right.
coming anyways because of this new law.
Right.
And I
So
think, the way I understood it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cynthia, but I think when you spoke of, there's not an issue with an insurance company not covering us, you were talking about the new legislation
yes,
preventing that coverage, so I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that
Yeah.
that lack of coverage potential has nothing to
Has
do
nothing
with
to do with
this.
this, it
Right.
has to do with the new legislation,
Okay.
yeah.
And the reason I mentioned that was because we had been hearing that there was a potential for insurance companies to drop coverage based on this new legislation, but that might be private carriers, it's not what we have.
Okay.
That's what I was told today, so, so I just wanna make sure that when we look at costs, we include all the costs in it and not just the
Yeah.
dollar amount we'd be paying somebody, yeah.
And again, if our honest hope is that this would do two things. One is to provide an incentive for folks to respond to calls that we currently have, and the other is to attract potentially more new members to come into the department. Because regardless of what goes on, we're hoping this works. We'll see what happens. But regardless of what goes on, we're still gonna have to bust our rear ends to continue to try everything we can to get new people into the department. Just to bolster what we're able to do and the folks that we have now. Plus, over the next few years, we're gonna lose some people. So they're not gonna be easily replaced. Again, we're hoping this will
I mean-
do a lot to help us, but,
So then.
and if we find that it doesn't do what we're hoping that it does, then the money that's allocated for this, it sits there. It doesn't, if guys don't come in for calls, the money doesn't get spent.
I mean, really, the only money we have allocated to this potential right now is the 11,500.
Right.
Um,
And
We don't
what is that,
have-
that's a line item currently?
right, that's the reimbursement we already give to the fire. Yeah,
that's been there for
Right,
yeah,
right.
that's the $6 an hour, whatever, and that goes directly to the department. But,
And you, as it is now, or traditionally, that money has not been, people have not taken that as
That's
pay.
correct.
That goes into
the association.
a fund, right,
Yeah.
exactly, okay.
so that's the other big part of this proposal is,
Financial.
yeah, there's no money.
Right, no, and I mean, I think that, you
I
know,
don't think there's any, right,
whether this is
there's no
something,
real way around it.
well,
Ultimately.
but, you know, is this something we feel we need to take to voters? You know, I mean, if we were gonna implement something like this.
Next year, it definitely needs to be taken to the voters, you know, as part of the budget process, but so how do we accommodate it between
In the
now
meantime.
and the next budget?
Exactly.
Okay, so,
And or do we say, you know, I mean, one possibility is we say this is a great idea, but it's not possible until next March. You know, I know that's not.
I have a hard time saying we're gonna spend 40 grand on dumpsters for recycle as opposed to.
I'm not disagreeing with
No,
you.
I mean,
Yeah.
I really would be, frank in that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
I mean,
but-
one thing that we could do, because, and this is one thing that I talked to Tom about, is even though this is not a paid full-time department discussion that we're having, I think that we need to have just a meeting just to discuss this now. And get a sense
public
from
forum
a public
type thing,
forum.
yeah.
Because this is a change, this is a pretty major change to, in the minds of the people, what we've been doing for a long time. And I'm not saying it's a bad change, I'm not saying it's like, I mean,
It's
I
just a
totally,
change.
it's a change, and
Yeah.
I think that there's enough, obviously, it's a big enough discussion that we need to do that. So let's say we have a public meeting to talk about this. And, you know, you're right, Scott, I don't know, there might be people that say, well, you know what, maybe we should, I don't know, shift the money
Well, I
around, I
think-
don't know,
I mean,
but,
my feeling was, we've come to an extraordinary point, I think, and not to say people have taken it for granted, but it's taken it for granted that these services would be there.
Regardless.
And regardless,
Yeah.
and when it would happen. And you've made it very clear that we've reached a crunch here, that, you know.
Yeah, I think it's
have to
important
address
to
it.
have a public
Unfortunately, in the
forum.
short term, you know, it is a monetary pinch, but, you know, in the long, you know, as looking at it, in the last meeting, the first meeting, we were talking about this, you know, there's a short-term resolution, there's an interim, and then there are long-term solutions that are probably gonna have to be more regional, statewide, you know, everything from, you know, who pays for workman's comp for calls for firefighters throughout the state, you know? And, you know, why is this a for-profit situation for insurance companies when, you know, this is
You know,
an
and
essential
there are
public
a
service?
couple of intermediate / long-term ideas that we floated around. One is, and this is up and down, but one is having some sort of a property tax credit for members of the department. Obviously, within that, those folks would have to meet certain criteria and so on and so forth to make it legitimate. So an idea like that. Another idea that I've had, and I've brought it up a few different times, is instituting impact fees in town.
Don't we have some impact fees to a certain extent?
What,
Okay.
what,
In other words, if you
How
start
do
a
you
brush fire
envision
that gets
that?
out of control?
No, those aren't impact fees.
Okay.
What I'm,
Maybe that's-
maybe I'm using the wrong terminology. What I'm terming as impact fees, and I think it would primarily attach to automatically to zoning. Any construction in town, new construction, renovations, additions, so on and so forth. And this would certainly have to be worked out, but have a sliding scale of monetary fees attached that are strictly impact fees. To support law enforcement, fire, highway, whatever, municipal services, municipal provided services.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, I just don't know that we have enough development that it would even make a dent.
it would make a contribution to it, but
Yeah.
it might, you know, the other
Depending
question
Right.
I would have about that is whether, I just don't know how that looks as far as a progressive tax is concerned, and I don't
Yeah,
know. the
Again,
nuts
I
and
have
bolts.
no idea at all. It was just simply ideas to
Yeah.
throw on a
Yeah.
table and start.
No, the other one that I think, and I can't remember where we are in the cycle, but within a couple years, we're renegotiating on our contributions from the educational institutions.
Yeah, how many years do we do those? Are they 5? They're 5, right, so that
So
was a
it's probably
couple, so 3 years.
3 until we're doing it again,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, well, I did it just recently,
A couple of years
yeah.
ago, so.
The other thing I heard.
Because that number has been slowly growing, and the debt on the fire department has been slowly decreasing, so that number has been shifting in favor of that. The other thing I would be a little bit concerned about in considering that 11.5 is that I know that historically that money that goes to the association essentially is an equipment fund. So, you know, if you're all of a sudden down 11.5 in your ability to purchase equipment, how does that affect the department?
Well, the reality is over time, things have stabilized enough so that we don't have to scramble for extra money somewhere. We're able to manage things fairly decent out of our operating budget.
And we don't have the people to use the equipment.
Right, yeah.
Then we don't need it. Good point.
If you can't operate it.
Boy, look at all those nice new suits.
The other thing I heard from somebody was that they lived in a state where the state actually gave an income tax break to
To
volunteer firefighters. I think one thing that we should start to do as a region is really put some pressure on the
On our
legislature.
legislators,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's the long
where
term,
the long
yeah.
term solution is gonna
Yeah.
come from.
Well, and we've had that discussion
Right,
related
yeah.
to sheriff's department as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that really this is a statewide issue that
Yeah.
isn't being dealt with on a statewide level, so.
So, is the next step setting up a public meeting?
I don't think that's a bad idea, Tom, ready to host an angry mob?
Well,
I don't think you're gonna do
I would hope it wouldn't, I mean,
No, I don't think so at
you
all.
know, it's not, we're not playing a game here. We're
No.
not-
Yeah.
There's no
No, I
dog
think
and pony show, there's
making
smoke
this-
screens.
Making
It's
the
just
point you made
is-
to us
it's
clear
just-
to the
right,
public
it's just-
really.
Plain and simple, this is where we're at, and it's not appropriate, it's not safe, it's not realistic.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one thing that fortunately you don't have is proof that it's been a problem. You know, I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I
you
mean,
know,
it has been, but,
I know,
Right, but
no,
you handle it.
and I know it is a problem.
yeah,
But, you know, as we've talked about, at some point, some big one is gonna occur where it really is a problem, and, you know, fortunately, that has not occurred, but.
Sad part
but-
is though, Josh, it doesn't even have to be a big one.
No, I know, no,
It's down to the point where a minor thing could be
turned
disastrous.
into a big one.
Right,
No,
yes.
I agree. No, and Tom and I had this talk, not or Cynthia and I maybe had this talk, you know, when, if and when we were the town affected by an Irene, or, you know, something, a gas line ruptures in town, or something like that, where it is the big one for
I
a small
think I'm
town.
looking at a little
What
different
does that look
perspective.
like?
I'm
you know?
looking at fire safety for the guys, not whether we can,
Of course, yeah.
whether
no,
we
that
can
too.
handle an incident in town.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we're actually endangering the men.
Yeah.
I think that's priority number one,
Yeah, and women, presumably,
men and women.
Yeah.
Actually, there is women, I stand corrected.
yeah.
We went to a building fire back last spring, a year ago, maybe this winter, last winter. And we went with 2 trucks, 3 guys, and the next truck to show up was Westminster.
Yeah.
Eric, Lenny, and myself were there for, and Tom,
Too long,
were there for a lot longer than we should have.
yeah.
And there was
And-
a lot of scrambling going on.
and that identical scenario has played out for us several times recently,
Paper mill.
and over the mill, and yeah, and
I
it's,
think in presenting this to the public, I mean, you really gotta make that point, you know,
Yeah.
frankly, you know.
you know, I mean, we,
Scare people to realizing that this
The guys do a good
is
job.
the situation.
and they get things done, but the reality is only by the grace of God that something hasn't happened yet.
Right, we only count on
Put a
luck, so-
put a $40,000 price tag on
Exactly.
somebody not going home is
Yeah.
makes it look pretty cheap.
Sure it does, sure as hell does. Lawrence?
Just a question, I'm wondering, if Tom can probably address this, if we're closer to that crisis point than we think, in that now with the warm weather and the seasonal, I don't know what our seasonal population is here or how much we grow, but the more people we have here, the more call load I would think we have, and the more propensity to reach that crisis point than we have in the last, 8 months or whatever, when the weather was cooler and our population was down.
Doesn't our population decrease in the summer?
I mean,
because colleges are
it's
out?
probably back and forth, I mean, the schools are in session, those 8 months of the year you're regarding.
And we don't have bad weather, but regardless,
Yeah,
your point is, well, I mean, Tom and I talked a little bit about that earlier, is that there's no way to predict when the calls are gonna come in.
Right.
But I think the point you're getting at is that we don't wanna hold off.
I mean, I know of 2 households in my immediate area that are only summer households.
Yeah.
So you're adding those people and their homes to our, the homes are obviously there year round, but then you have the people there that are shortness of breath or whatever else, or drop the chainsaw on their toe or whatever it is, that are there now. And if there's a corresponding decrease, great, I'm not aware of those, but
Right.
I just wondered if in the summertime we're gonna have more people.
And the other edge to that, Lawrence, is the summertime, we're short guys because it's
gone.
summer.
Yeah.
Busy.
Yeah.
Might be gone on
The
vacation.
flip side of that too is winter, more chance of, common fire situation, chimney fire.
Or vehicle accident.
It's harder to fight that fire in given weather conditions, road conditions, and, you know, just simply getting people out, you know, out of bed and, you know, in the truck. At 4 o'clock in the morning in January or something, it's you know, yeah,
So-
right, that's,
The other thing that could be said for it too is that we talked about during the meeting is that at the height of everybody showing up and having a lot of people showing up, that dollar amount getting paid to the association was 24,000. Is that right, Tom?
Years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Actually, it was higher, it was a little higher than that.
Yeah, so at some point, we were paying more than double that's getting paid right now, so if you could have continued that trend of guys showing up, we'd probably be paying this same money anyways.
So I will work with Tom to come up with a public meeting date fairly quickly. And do some searching for some money that's not general fund money, because we do have money in that public safety. But I mean,
Let me
obviously,
just ask you a question. That report that you presented to us is now available.
yes.
I'm just wondering how we could get that literally into the hands of more people. You know, how do we get that?
Well, I think if we have a public
Right.
forum, you make
Yep.
it available,
Available there.
invitate,
Okay,
well,
yep.
but make it available previous to,
Exactly.
by invitation, you know.
Exactly.
If people wanna come in and pick one up, please come in.
We can,
But
I
they
can,
will be
we can do
available
some
at the forum
outreach
as
too.
well.
I mean, I'm reaching
Yeah.
a lot of people when I post stuff on Facebook right now, so.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, I think we just
Putney and direct them
we
to,
need
because
to-
it's PDF
Yeah, I
on
think
the
we
town
put
site.
that, did we put it on that?
to not let this fade away.
Yeah,
On iPutney?
yeah,
No.
no.
No, and the other reality is, given that we don't know how this would work, there's 11.5 already available.
Try it.
You know, exactly, could say, you know, hey, give it a shot for a couple months and see whether anything changes. At, you know, sort of worst case scenario, we're gonna spend, that buys us the time to figure out where the replacement for that 11.5 comes from, and then you go from there, I don't know.
I mean, I think the other thing that needs to be pointed out, the reality of this discussion, this is not a new discussion amongst us or amongst myself and Tom. And that I think that people need to know that a couple years ago, we really started this discussion with, okay, we need to see some recruitment happen, because right now we're not sure the recruitment. And that step was taken, and we recruited quite a few, or you did, I didn't have anything to do with it, but, and so that has happened, and so I think that I just wanted to make sure people knew that this is not something that has just come to us, but there's like these levels of, okay, we need to do this first.
Right.
And see if that helps. And although we've had some pretty good response to the recruitment, it's it's time, it's money, it's other commitments and that kind of thing. And also, if the guys that we have now, and girls that we have now, we are way over budget in the outfitting of people. And I've told Tom, we'll figure that out. You know, we'll work with your budget, because if we're recruiting people, we need to be able to give them
Suit
the
them up.
necessary equipment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the reality is when money runs out, so.
Well, that's the kind of thing that, at least
Yeah.
in my recollection, association money used to say, you know, hey, we need 3 new SCBA's, or we need, you know, X number of new helmets or whatever, and we did that, and I assume you probably
Just recently.
still do
we
that to a
bought
certain
6
extent.
pagers.
Yeah, we bought pages, we bought other
Yeah, so
other
it's kind of been
equipment,
a
yeah.
split between us buying some stuff and them
Right,
buying some stuff,
right.
so.
But it would, you know, again, this would be taking money from the association, so it would be reducing your ability to spend, you know. it would-
So, but
take
I
that
just wanted to
long
make
term.
that point that this is kind of been, this is not something, this is a progression, and the first step was us to ask Tom to really work on the recruitment and that was done, and,
And we're still, we have.
and that hasn't stopped.
No, it hasn't
No.
stopped. We're still trying. It's just,
Yeah. You know, so,
No, and I think in that respect, Tom the entire department deserves recognition for having been successful in taking these steps and working in this direction and still being, I mean, it's just the reality that exists.
The seriousness of the situation needs to really be, brought front center,
All right, so we'll organize
I mean,
a
I
public.
think there's just a lot of people not really clear that, just how thin the line is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they see the fire truck go by, but they don't see what's in it.
Right.
Just as a thought too, if you can get the date set before Anita's thing, you're gonna have a number of people at the fire station then, and you could have a board up saying, this is what's going on.
Good idea, and we could have a bunch of those reports all printed off right there.
You'll have people there, and the people that show up for Anita's thing are people that are
Maybe
involved
go
in
out
town.
into the bays and just lock everything.
Well, you're here.
While you're here.
Hot dogs in the front bay. Next Saturday.
June 3rd, next
Not-
Saturday.
A week from Saturday.
But you'll have people there that you can
You will,
disseminate
because I
information
signed
to.
you up for cooking
And
hot
it all
dogs.
spreads out.
Yeah, you and I are cooking.
Well, I'm engrossed in racing, sorry, buddy.
Okay.
That means you and you are cooking. You and you.
Yeah, me, yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we'll work on that.
All right.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I think we're really attuned to the seriousness of this.
Great,
Keep working on it.
thank you.
Thanks.
See ya.
Does Brian need to stay for better roads or not?
No,
Oh, yeah, he stays to the end.
Okay.
no, I just need permission to sign the grant agreements and let you know what we got.
Okay, so we're back to better roads.
Yep. So Brian and I worked on grant applications for both the category A and category B for the Better Roads program. They offer grants on an annual basis. The category A grant, we were awarded $8,000 for a townwide road erosion inventory. That had to be done for the new general permit that's coming up for road water quality that,
The ditch work.
yeah.
In effect.
So, we probably will be working with Wyndham Regional on that. There are some matching funds, which was completely covered by, our in-kind man hours, work that I'll be doing, work that Brian will be doing. So that was one of them. And then the category B, we got $20,000, with matching funds, of all our own work. We'll buy the materials. And that is for a project on Sand Hill Road, just past Anita's, going down towards the wetland. We're gonna create some drainage that will then go into a settling pond, so that sediment won't end up in the wetland like it is now. All of the poles, the telephone poles have been removed up there. We'll widen it
Already?
a little bit through there, yeah. Fairpoint came and got them. So that work will start, both of these projects will start after July 1st, but I need the okay to go ahead and sign the grant agreements so that I can get that started.
I'll make a motion that we authorize Cynthia as the signator for those grant applications.
Grant
Agreements, sorry.
Yeah, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to grant Cynthia the signatory authority, there we go, for the grant agreements for Better Roads grants. Any other questions? Additions? All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, and the excavator lease.
So I have all the documentation for the lease agreement for the excavator, and everything came back as expected. The language in there about the
blade, there was some.
the reappropriation, the authority to pay this grant, or this lease every year. That was the big thing that we talked about back when we decided to purchase it through a lease, was that we didn't ask the voters for the entire amount
Because
because
it was an annual.
it's an annual appropriation
Right,
for that
the
payment.
lease.
So I made sure that was in there. I actually our attorney has to send back also an opinion of counsel. And so they're looking at everything as well, but they can't do that until you guys say it's okay for me to move ahead with the lease. They needed the vote, so
So what
I think
does
you're-
our motion need to say?
that you give me the authority to sign the lease paperwork after the attorney has given me the opinion of counsel.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to authorize Cynthia to sign the lease agreement for the excavator pending discussion with council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. 1 and 2, oh, sidewalk, not 1 and 2. Phase
Phase
No
two.
backward steps, please. Phase 2 sidewalk schedule. What do we got?
So there is a schedule in there. We had our pre-construction meeting last week. And the sidewalk, which is phase 2 from Putney General Store up past Basketville, is scheduled to, did I put a copy in there? I did. Is scheduled to start next Tuesday, the 30th.
Well,
They wanted to start this week. I asked them to start after Memorial Day so that Basketville would not be interrupted during the holiday weekend. Go ahead.
the state of Vermont has still been doing
Yeah.
something here. Are
They're
they?
doing borings and stuff, but they're,
That's related to
To the
the
bridge.
bridge, presumably?
yes, it is.
There's not gonna be any interference?
There is no conflict, so we've checked, at the pre-construction meeting, we had 2
Had
people
a
from
discussion about
V-Trans,
that.
and yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
So that bridge construction's not due to be done for a couple of years anyways, they're just doing some preliminary stuff. So, I have a meeting tomorrow with the contractor, our resident engineer, and Greg Wilson, just to go over things. This is the schedule as of today. We ran into a little hiccup today with some, they're trying to do the layout up there and the,
At
anchor
Basketville.
points, no, the layout for the sidewalk. The anchor points from the survey that we used to create the design, some of them are no longer there.
Oh.
So,
So they gotta do some triangulating
I don't know,
and
see.
figure that out.
yeah, so that's gonna happen, we're gonna meet up there tomorrow and hopefully that can all be worked out before. So the tentative start date is next Tuesday. They would like to be done by July 4th. So thinking, they've giving us 6-week timeframe.
That'd be cool.
So,
And are they clear that, I mean, I would assume, as you said, Memorial Day is big, I would assume the second biggest for, well, the July 4th is obviously very important for Basketville.
yeah, Greg didn't seem too concerned with all of this.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, he's
just-
been included in the discussion. This actually is a much better time for him than having it go into the fall.
Of course, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I'm just thinking, just
Yeah.
July 4th, if it's not done by July 4th,
Yeah.
as long as they can be mindful of.
Yeah, they'll have access,
Needing to-
and then there is some provisions in the grant and using federal money of holiday weekends and the hours of operation, they can actually even construct, so, so that's all accommodated for, and they'll definitely, work with him.
Good.
So, that is that schedule.
And so far, your feeling was good about the folks who are
Yeah.
gonna be doing it?
Yeah,
Good.
We have 2014 payroll taxes and reporting.
remember last time when I
Yes.
came and said everything was all
Mm-hmm.
good? Well, it's not.
Good.
It was good last week.
It was good.
Hey, I had 2 weeks worth of, so, in the meantime, we were sent a letter by the IRS requesting information for the year 2014. It seems as though they never received the file, for the W-2s for 2014. There is no penalty associated with the letter that we have received so far. Denise was able to give me the 2014 W-2s. We balanced everything looks okay. I sent everything to them with a letter. telling them what has happened, and
So
hopefully.
was it just never
Uh,
electronically transmitted?
What I'm
or
thinking
do
is
we
that,
know?
that's been the problem, is that I think that,
It all gets ready and.
I think it gets ready, I think there's a process that's been followed, and it's just not quite finished. Yeah, I'm, you know, or they could've lost it, I don't know, I can't prove that, but, so, like I said, as of right now, there's no penalty associated with it, and I've gotten information into the Social Security Administration and to the IRS with letters sent certified, hopefully, once they get all that, it will clear it up. We would probably end up with a penalty for late filing, but not the
Penalty with interest.
$50,000 penalty that could be associated with
Yeah.
it. So, okay,
All right. Well, on the same topic, different agency?
no,
Delinquent
that's
tax?
kind of together,
Okay.
yeah, Social Security, it's all the same thing, and I gave them all the same information. I got a notice from both them, SSA and IRS,
Okay.
so, yeah.
No, I was assuming the next item here is delinquent
Oh,
taxes.
no,
That's a more local issue,
Yeah.
yes.
So I wanted to bring this to your attention tonight, because I think we really need to have a serious discussion about changing the policy for our delinquent tax collection. Right now, we allow people to have 2 years' worth of delinquent taxes before they go up for tax sale. Our delinquent taxes, as of this date, is higher than it's been since I've been here. So, people are struggling to pay their taxes on time, if at all. I think that some people will think that me mentioning that we should put a property up for tax sale when they only owe 1 year is harsh. But in looking at some of the accounts, just kind of doing a random check, some people are paying as much as $3,000 extra by the time we actually put them for tax sale, plus
Yeah.
attorney fees.
Yeah.
That's just penalty and interest. So it could be looked at as harsh, but I think in the long run, we're really saving people some money. And some of the people do not respond until we say,
Right.
look, you're in jeopardy of losing your house.
Yeah.
It is the worst part of my job. I don't like to tell that to anybody. But I also don't like to help people get further and further in debt either. So I kind of wanted to put that out there right now. I did a projection of year end, where we will be at year end in the general fund. And right now, we're falling a little bit behind. We may be in a little bit of a deficit situation, not complete deficit because we have some carryover from last year. But if we don't collect some of these taxes, and if you look at the last page, I think the total amount due right now is $182,000. We're only expected to collect maybe around $60,000 through tax sales. So that leaves us at $120,000. We will have to reduce our revenue. We have until August 31st to collect more that we can count towards our revenue for this year. But whatever we can't collect by August 31st, we have to reduce our revenue, which then in turn takes from our fund balance. So in the last 5 years, it's been pretty stable. Like by August 31st, we've been at around 65 to 80,000 that's been delinquent. So it really doesn't affect our bottom line much because it just kind of stays
per
stagnant.
year.
Our total, yeah, for the total delinquent at August 31st. Doesn't matter how many years there
It
are.
was quite a bit higher than that for quite a while. I mean, we were over 100 for several years.
Yeah, but we got pretty good at,
But we got
yeah,
that, since we shifted collection, it dropped,
yeah.
but now it's been,
Now
so
it's
what's
at-
our total now?
So
I don't
182 is
see
our,
a
it's on the
total
last
here.
page. One more page. See the 182?
Yeah, okay.
So the 182, we're due to collect around 60,000. We have some accounts that we can't collect on because they're in, like an estate or other reasons. So that leaves us at about 120,000. To get down to where we were at August 31st of last year, we would need to collect around 45 more thousand, because we were at 82, I think it was. So, I will be sending out with our next round of delinquent tax notices a letter stating that we're talking about changing the policy.
Yeah, what are the legal requirements for us to change the policy?
With the last time we did it, we present it. We noted, it's not like a hearing or anything, it's the select board change. But, I mean, the services that we are voting in our budgets, and remember, this is school too, so some of it we have no control over, but as far as the municipality doesn't. The services that we're being asked to provide are great, but if people can't pay for them, then we're in trouble. And before it gets too out of hand, again, like you said, probably prior to me really paying a lot of attention to delinquents, because at one time when I was working here as the finance director only, I didn't really have much to do with delinquent taxes because there was a separate
Because it
tax
was done
collector.
separately, yeah.
But I mean, we're gonna work hard in the next 3 months to try to collect as much as we can outside of tax sales. But I don't have a lot of teeth in the policy to be able to.
Is there anything other than putting them up for tax sale that would add teeth to it? I mean,
Not really.
You know, you could raise the penalty, but that's counterproductive in the long
Yeah.
run, as you were
Yeah,
pointing out.
I mean, if the penalty that people are being charged, so on February, whatever that last installment is,
Right,
you're being charged what,
8%,
well,
yeah.
8% and then
Plus,
1% interest,
right.
plus 1.5% interest on the first 2 installments.
Well, I thought
You're
that
getting-
percent
yeah.
was by statute the highest.
It
That
is.
is the
It
highest,
is.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm just
Yeah.
trying to think whether there's anything we
So-
could do. But, and
Right.
my
I mean, so-
recollection.
I mean,
of-
somebody that, back taxes for, $11,000 as opposed to somebody who owes, a couple of hundred, I suppose, well.
Well, you can't
ultimate-
discriminate against
Right,
the person
exactly.
that it is what it is, and somebody that owes 200 and somebody that owes 11,000,
Right.
Their ability to pay
is,
may be
yeah.
reflected in that. No, and my recollection is surrounding that discussion of the penalties involved in tax collection were that the data is pretty clear that it really doesn't make any difference if you up the penalties.
Right.
And
No,
we're
and if the-
already at the maximum.
And if 10% of your total amount due is not deterring people now,
Right.
yeah.
What's it gonna, and it just adds to the burden. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of that.
No,
I was
I
just
know.
trying to bring up.
But I don't
other
think there is
things,
no other
ways to add teeth.
ways, yeah.
On that subject, I wonder, you talked about, if you add penalties, is that what about declaring some sort of temporary amnesty where half of not all the penalty is waived, but half of it or something, if you pay by such and such a date? And this is only
Well,
temporary, this is
yeah.
only now, it's
I-
not gonna happen every year, that
I
kind of
think
stuff.
that the people that have paid it
Would be
would be really
upset by
upset.
that. Yeah.
That have paid the penalty, the
Yeah.
full penalty.
I would be,
Unless
if
it
all
were
of a sudden there
retroactive or
was,
something,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
if all of a sudden there was an amnesty for the people that.
That might be worth.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a full amnesty, I'm not saying.
Right.
No, I understand that,
Make
but let's
everybody
just,
happy, right?
okay, so let's say that this is just my perspective. I'll look into whatever, but today this person owes this amount and they come in and they pay it. And then tomorrow we say, well, everybody else that even waited longer is all of a
Gets a
sudden is
discount.
gonna get a discount. I think that,
Yeah.
I don't know, I would not be.
I retract my suggestion.
Yeah, no, and for all practical purposes, it's conceptually the same as paying it on time, because you're not getting whacked with that.
Yeah, you're not, yeah.
You're getting the benefit of only have to pay your taxes, not have to pay that additional whatever it ends up being, 9.5% in the first
I
month.
was
I mean,
thinking
I
maybe
could-
it's 4.5
Yeah.
or something.
I could
No,
see where we would revisit lowering the penalty from this point forward, but that's been discussed in Putney
Right,
at
right.
length before. So that would mean that, okay, from this point forward, you know, if you're late, I just,
We could be more progressive with that penalty, I mean, and we
Right,
have discussed
I mean,
it in
it's-
length for
right.
various reasons,
The
but,
question of
you know, it
whether
could be
punitive or
3%.
10%.
Right, exactly.
I
but
think that
it's
the bottom line
For
is.
everyone that struggles to pay those taxes on time and complete doing so, often at a hardship, you know.
The bottom line
Compensation.
is that no matter what we do with the penalty and interest, people are they wanna pay,
Right.
but we don't push it as quickly as like the insurance company or the electric
Right.
company or,
They're
so
gonna
they're
cut you
picking
off.
those things to pay first
Right.
because they know this is waiting. And although I totally understand that as somebody that's constantly trying to juggle we are really causing a hardship by the time these people go to tax sale. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the attorney fees by the time they go to tax sale are
huge.
almost as much as what they're,
Yeah.
between the penalty, interest, and attorneys, almost as much as they originally were billed.
Do other towns have a different,
Yes, I have,
Many towns do a
Yeah.
1 year.
a 1 year?
I know that when I was working in the town, I believe it was the town of Arlington, they had switched to a 1 year. And of course, that first year was tough.
Yeah.
You know, people weren't used to it, and they, at the time I was there, they had virtually no delinquent taxes. You know, but that kind of shoots the town in the foot too, because we budget for penalties revenue. So there's this, I would rather lower that and try to figure out a way for people to
To be collecting it.
yeah, I mean, so this is not something I'm doing right this minute. Like I said, we are going to send out a letter that says, I mean, we offer payment plans. We will take partial payments, we'll,
Yeah,
you know, so
I
it's,
think people have, you know, either used those or, you know, we're being taken advantage of to
Yeah.
a degree, but,
yeah,
you know.
Well, yes, no.
There are some, you know, a lot of people with hardship. but
Yes.
And
there's also-
as Cynthia is accurately pointing out, and I would guess that a significant part of lack of understanding plays into how much that ends up costing you at the end of 2 years.
we have some people that are, you know, being very diligent about keeping in touch with me. They've run into some hard times. I want to pay this much a month, and they do it, and they continually do it. And you know, when I'm working with somebody like that, there's no thought in my mind that you're somebody that should be. But then I have other people that you send notice after notice after notice,
get
and you
nothing.
never hear from them
Yeah.
until you send them that first notice of tax sale.
And then, oh, it's
And
not.
then, you know, and by then they've got thousands of dollars, some of them, to try to come up
Yeah.
with above and beyond what they,
Yeah.
and like you said, they don't really understand that is how,
Or, you know, I mean, I don't wanna pin it on ignorance, cause it's not ignorance, it's just, like you
Yeah.
said, it's prioritizing, and you're prioritizing this, and you just,
Yeah.
you aren't thinking.
yeah, and I don't mean understand because they're not,
Right, no,
it's
that's,
more of, I'm gonna put this one aside.
exactly, cause I don't.
Cause I
have to
know
worry
I'm
about
gonna
it.
be okay for a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, and I
But it
get
adds
it,
up
I
and
get
adds
it,
up,
and then all of a
yeah.
sudden you're like, oh my god, I've got all this.
Just a quick observation, I think really if the penalty is only what, 8%, 9.5%, whatever it is, the town is really, you're well below whatever the consumer finance rate would be for someone to advance money on a credit card,
Yeah.
go and get a payday loan, whatever it is. So you're offering them low interest financing, you know, that we're collecting in penalties later.
Yeah.
But it's much less than, you know, the 25% you're gonna pay on your
On your
cash
credit
advance on your credit
Yeah,
card,
that's
or if you go to a payday lender, or if you go to, you know, get a personal line from the bank,
Yeah, and
if you have enough credit to do that.
Well, and if you think about it, it's not even 8%, it's another
Well, it's 1.5 per month, it's
1.5,
18%
by the time you get to the
paying,
2 years, it's,
or 12%.
let's say it's 12%, so that's 24 because it's 2 years.
You've paid 2 8%, and you've paid.
Yeah, you're way up in the, I'm talking about percentage, it's way up higher than, I
It
can't
starts
remember.
building, but it takes a long time, but your point is well
Yeah.
taken.
Yeah, I mean, you're floating them sort of, even at the 1 year point, you're floating them kind of a low interest loan,
Yeah,
you know, till they get to that point.
Yeah, so,
back to the room.
Is there a way to let people know with those first letters that go out, these are the scenarios that typically happen in terms of attorney's fees and
yeah, I think,
and 24% versus 8%. If you don't pay now,
yeah.
it's 8%. If you
gonna
don't pay
cost you.
within 2 years, it's gonna be 24%.
I think,
That's actually,
I'll have to look at the last letter I sent when I kind of went through, I think I did like examples of that in the letter that I sent, and I think it's time for me to do that again.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
and you know, that was something that was implemented a handful of years ago for credit cards. You know, if you look on a
Exactly
credit
what I was
card bill
thinking,
now,
yes.
it says,
If you make
if you
minimum
pay,
payment,
exactly,
yes.
in 10 years,
Yeah.
you're gonna pay
3
this.
years,
You know, you could do something along that per 100,000 of value, or,
Yeah.
you know, that's a good idea. And it sounds like
That's
you've done it
exactly
before.
what
Yeah, I
was
did something
picturing.
similar to that with a letter. I mean, normally on a monthly basis, we just produce the notice and we send it out to them, and, you know, sometimes we hear from people that they have a stack of them sitting at home that they haven't even opened, you know?
Printed on pink paper.
Oh, it is, and it has an urgent stamp on it.
But I'm picturing that box like you see on the credit card thing, that if you make the minimum payment, you're gonna
Yeah.
be paying $30,000 for this $400 loan. Or if you
Right.
make payments,
Yeah,
you know.
no, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it is, but it is on pink paper, and we stamp every envelope urgent.
It's not.
Yeah. So that's the next step that I will be taking, but there may come a time that we, especially, we'll have to see how these next few months go, and if we end up having to reduce our fund balance because we can't count the revenue. Because what happens is when I bill, the entire amount of the revenue is counted the minute you bill something.
Right.
Then,
When
let's say we're starting from scratch this year. Let's say it's $1 million that I'm billing, so you're gonna show $1 million in revenue. If by August 31st you don't collect all that million, you can't count it all as revenue for that year. That's the way that the accounting works. So over the years, we just adjust that accrued,
And by August 31st, that's because it's a 60-day.
it's a 60-day after the fiscal year end, is what we can count as revenue collected towards that last
That's
fiscal
usually
year.
around 60 to 80,000.
It's been 60 to 80,000. A couple of years I didn't even have to adjust that number because it was almost even. But last year we had to adjust it up to like 80 from 65. And then this year it's looking like, unless we do some major collecting, yeah.
Oh, and there was a point, I think it was probably 2008 or 2009, 2010, something like that, where we were
Pretty high.
we were up over 200, as I recall, for a short period of time.
Yeah.
But we don't want to,
No.
we don't want to go back there.
That was a, recession.
Right after, when things tanked, yeah.
So that will be a continued discussion probably.
All right. The old business, we went through recycling and farming. Any of those other issues
No.
we're feeling like? All right. And the town
I'm not
manager's
gonna
report.
dance.
I was going to say, what is?
I usually bring this to you guys, the Morris,
So
Dancers.
over by the co-op.
they
there.
go over by the co-op. I just gave them permission to go ahead and do it, and it's going to be May 28th, and it's for like an hour that they'll close down that section of the road. And I've never had a problem with them doing it, so I just went ahead and.
It's an ornery group, but.
So that's happening. I wanted to let you know that I got a invitation from Rescue Inc. It's an open invitation to the community. They're having a grand opening celebration over at their new West Townsend station, if anybody's interested. And then, oh, this is the Southeastern Vermont Watershed Alliance. They want to come to a meeting. They need to include that today. So they'll be coming to a meeting. I think, where's the Morris dancers? And then, so that's all I have for my report. In your packet, I included year-end projections for both the highway fund and for the general fund. The highway fund is looking we're about even in both funds, let's just put it that way. By June 30th, it looks like we're about even.
About right.
Yeah. There's some things that we've adjusted, especially in the highway fund. We purchased the trailer for the excavator, so we moved around money from contracted services to cover that, so that Brian doesn't accidentally spend that money. That's,
So do we actually have it yet?
we
or-
do, yeah. Yeah.
This is the one that was out of somewhere in the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was anything else that was too shocking in the highway fund. We had some money left over in vehicle fuel that helps offset some overages in some other places. The general fund, everything's looking pretty much on schedule. The treasurer's budget is going to be over because we need to pay out Anita's vacation time at the end of the year. And like I was talking earlier, the firefighter equipment purchase line, which is on page 5, is over by quite a bit. We had budgeted 8,500, we spent almost 24,000. And that's what I was talking about, where the cost of that equipment has come from.
What's
But
that? What line?
page 5,
Firefighter and EMS purchase.
equipment purchase, third line up, fourth line up. From the bottom.
Oh, down on, oh, yeah, okay,
Oh.
yeah.
But Tom's aware of his budget, he's working around the other line items, you know.
Try to
Yeah.
shave.
Otherwise, we're pretty much on track. I think what I figured was, right now, we're looking to be maybe about 15,000 over. But, there's some revenues that I don't quite know what they're gonna be. We're waiting for some legal fees to come back from the state for the Trans-Canada appeal. So there's some other things that I didn't count in here that, so I think we're gonna be pretty much even at the end of the year.
Just because I happened upon this section, pool opening.
Pool opening should be June 17th. Having a hard time getting in touch with my pool manager.
Won't have again?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know, I'm assuming she's just busy at school, but with year-end stuff, but I think
Pretty soon.
yeah, I think she's got people hired, and we do have we have an issue with the slide. It's cracked at the bottom. And Joe tried to do a fix last year. I put some money in the budget for a slide based on some information that was given to me, which was way low. So the pool slide, the original pool slide was like $13,000. That's not what I put in the budget. So I was talking about that
To
yesterday.
replace it would
To
be
replace
13,
it.
you mean?
Because Joe tried to do a fix and it didn't work last year. So I talked
actually
to,
have a name of a guy who might be.
well, I
able
talked to Brian about it yesterday,
Yeah.
Brian Harlow, and he said, I'm gonna talk to Rob, we're gonna see if we can fix it.
Yeah,
What's it made out of?
It's fiberglass.
Yeah, okay.
So if you,
somebody can fix it.
yeah, so I
Body
looked,
shop.
I tried
Yeah,
to find somebody,
That's
but
exactly
if
what I was thinking.
you, but if you
Fix
have
it.
the name of somebody, let me know, because if they can't, yeah,
I had a guy recently do, it was a warranty, it was a new installation of a shower, and it broke, and he came and did
okay,
it.
well, give me the
perfectly,
name
so
of
I'll
him,
get I'll
okay,
get
in
his
case
name,
they
yeah.
couldn't figure something out.
Because he does fiberglass.
So, otherwise, if we can't get it fixed, we're gonna have to take it out. It's, yeah.
Too dangerous.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
could, I can,
So, other than that, I think that, Lenny's gonna start to do some work for me around the buildings. One of the things he's gonna do is paint the inside of the entryway up there.
and have we actually made a hire for the highway department? or-
have. Yeah, I'll let people know who they are next week,
Okay.
because we gotta make sure that,
It all pans out.
yeah. So yes, both bookkeeping and highway, we have
Oh,
hired somebody.
okay,
Yeah.
oh, good.
Yeah, we had, I think, 10 applicants for the bookkeeping position and interviewed 4.
Good.
Yeah, it was a good response. So,
All right, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second?
here,
For
let me,
the
Thanks.
purpose of,
Well, evening.
Yeah, thanks.
thank you.
thank you, thanks for coming.
Sure.
Thank you.
for the purpose of the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee, provided that the body public, like it says down here.
What it says
Public
there.
body shall make a final decision or hire to appoint a public official or employee in an open meeting and shall explain the reasons for its final decision during that open meeting.
Will there be a decision?
Yeah. Right?
There will be no decisions.